Hi everyone, my name is Abby and welcome to Pathways of Hope. Today, our gospel is taken from John 15 verses 9 to 11. When I was a kid, my mom used to tell me to sleep in the afternoon. But as a kid with so much energy, I would rather not sleep. I'd choose not to sleep because I'd rather do something like play with my friends, read my books, watch afternoon TV shows. If I nap, I'll miss out on all of that. And so sometimes we can feel like rules constrict us. And maybe we think that God's commands constrict us. Why do I have to go to mass when I'd rather rest? Why can't I cheat on my exam when it helps me get the highest possible grade? Everyone's doing it anyway. Why do I need to forgive those who hurt me when I can just simply ignore them like nothing ever happened? At first, the idea of obeying God's commands can feel limiting and constricting because it confines our freedom and creativity just to do what we want. But the truth, it's really different. Obedience to God's commands is actually the path to true freedom. Because God is not some distant lawmaker who just wants to dictate what we do. But God is a loving Father who desires our good for ourselves. I know now that my parents told me to sleep and take afternoon naps because it regulates my mood for the rest of the day and it gives me better rest in the evening. So, those commands that God gives us are really not restrictions, but actually, they're boundaries that protect us and guide us toward a life of meaning and joy. We go to Mass so that we can worship Him, we can keep our connection with Him, and with others through community. We keep our integrity because we respect the work that every individual does, the effort that they put in what they do. We forgive because it increases our opportunity to heal relationships with others and to increase our love for that person and God's love for that person in our hearts. All these might seem difficult to obey, even if we want to. And it's a good thing that we have an example, and his name is Jesus. One of the titles of Jesus is Firstborn of all creation. And it's like this because he's the first to perfectly obey God's commands, not out of obligation, but out of love and trust. Through Jesus' example, we learn that obedience is not about losing ourselves, but it's really about finding a true home in God's love. So, speaking of home, Jesus here says, "Abide in my love." And abide also means to live, to make a home in God's love. And it's more than just following rules in a household. It's cultivating that relationship with God where we completely trust and feel safe and can rest in the presence of God every day. God's love, when we abide, shapes our hearts and guides our lives. To abide and to live in God's love is to live a lifestyle that is led by God's guidance so that we don't have to wonder or feel anxious or confused about the choices we make, but instead, we're confident in the path that God leads us to. So what benefit does it bring to abide in this love? This abiding leads us to live fully, to live freely, and to live joyfully. Abiding in God's love makes a life that is marked by purpose and peace and trust in the Lord. It's a life where freedom is not the absence of boundaries, but it's always in the presence of love. In choosing to abide in God's love and follow Jesus' example, we discover the abundant and purpose-filled life that God intends for us. It's a life that is lived at home in His grace, in His joy, and His freedom. If you like this short reflection, please like and share Pathways of Hope to a friend or loved one. Again, my name is Abby. I hope you have a peace-filled day today. God bless you.